Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
Do you need an intermediary between the sun and the earth to tell what the earth needs to do and to put the sun in a position of work with earth? Does the sun negotiate, talk to someone to teach earth how to rotate, how to move, how to become that emotion of being earth? Or, as now he has the control and understanding of its physical structure, it communicates with it direct, with the understanding of other fields and the environment. So the soul of the solar system, the sun, we call it the soul in the body of the man, does not need any intermediaries. As it interacts now, it has its dimension, it has its parameters, and it works. The biggest question now for you as a human race is this. If you understood this, that the sun and the solar system and the interplanetary system, and it does not need any intermediary negotiators, how do you as human race allow mullahs and ayatollahs to tell you how to feel between your soul and the solar physicality and your physical life, when now you understand you're responsible for it? This brings an end to abuse of religions, if you understand the principle of the knowledge. Why do we need to interrupt the physicality within the soul for it to conduct good, where we allow it to abuse when the physicality takes over the soul or engages the soul? This brings us a lot of understanding. This brings an end to the religions. This brings an end into the abuse in the name of the Creator, that not even single ray of the lights of the cosmic rise, universal lights or rays of the Creator ever reached Ayatul Harmony. How can he claim to be of it? The same with the Vatican. I put my life at risk, but I've been here for thousands of years. I just changed the clock. And we'll get you. The challenge was that the protector of the faith, the protector of the God's will, the God is here. Answer to it, otherwise it will never end. The God is amalgamation of the souls of the humanity. This is a call for all the religions to end. A new challenge will show, will stand. My direct call goes to those who are set in Iran to protect the return of Mahdi. He has arrived. This hour. It's your own soul. You have to walk away with it. Now, when the Creator hasn't got intermediaries, but the people who inform of the knowledge, He does not intermediaries in the name of the mullahs, ayatollahs, Vaticans with the report of abuse, Jerusalem priests and what we call rabbis with the misleading of the conflict between the two nations and what they call one nation of Palestine. The same goes to the what we call Buddhist and the rest of it. Religions become what? When man understands religions means the conduct of the soul and not a way to what I call, put it through, is the phases of abuse. If you understand this process, if you understand how you can connect and how you are connected back to the earth, to the sun without intermediaries, then you should understand there is a bigger scale of work. The universe, the universe, and other levels in between which man is not aware of, and finally the totality only cometh from this end by knowledge. And our job is to come to and go back to you. The cycle of coming and going back to maybe 50 or 80 years. To us is billions of years. We have to get that.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to the 481st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, April 13th, 2023. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be the host today. And we are hosting Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who will be guiding us through today's workshop. And I think he's eager to begin, so let's dive into it. Mr. Keshe, are you there?
Yes, good morning, good day to you as usual. Wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back. We welcome you back to a beautiful sessions of teaching. The teaching of today is more or less follows what the intro comes from. We call it the creator. In the dimension of physicality, we connect the connection of man in the dimension of physicality of the man with carbon 12. We go to cosmic rays and we connect it through the dimension of what we call carbon 14, connection of the direction of what we call crystal structure, clear transfer of energy on the back of hydrogen. As in many teachings we have explained, if we call it the creator has to be part of the structure which he is created out of. And then it becomes a bigger dimension. Dimension the man has not understood is like our universe is a cell in the kidney of a man. It's a whole of itself, operates on its own, has billions of sections and whatever. It has a universe and unicos, but at the end is a part of an organ, part of a body of a man. And that man from outside is observed by the others. They don't see that cell of the kidney, but collection of the cells makes the man. And if man in the dimension of the physicality transmutes his dimension of emotion through carbon 12 in a vacuum body of the man, when the universe and unicos transmute itself through the dimension of carbon 14, again the source of essence of the creation, hydrogen, common denominator. What does the creator and how does the creator communicate in his own environment? And what beauty from that dimension comes that becomes a food, that becomes the energy of the universe, that becomes the energy of the universe, and part of that universe that we live in. We eat an apple, and the energy of that apple reaches every cell which needs the energies of that apple. The question becomes, what are we part of? And what we call the man who the organs are part of him, without him there is no liver and kidney. Which part of the process of the creation are we in that structure? It's a living thing. Universes move, galaxies move, the suns and the earth and the planetary systems move. What are they feeding? What is the ultimate goal of all these essence of interaction of the fields of the universe? The unicos and the universe that man has not come to understand. What we call the prophet of the past have indicated there are different levels. Now man with the knowledge has opened some of the levels. The soul of the man, the soul of the solar system, the soul of the galaxy, the soul of the universe, the soul of the creator. What is that soul of the creator part of, which is created out of? The interaction of its field. The other point which goes back from macro to micro is how do our cells within body of the man, within the kidney, within the heart of the man communicate with each other that allows them to find their positions, distance, and their composition. How does our body recognizes needs 3 layers of skin to protect from outside, balance between the two, and protect the inside that nothing goes outside? How does one skin on the tip of the finger and one skin on top of the arm connected to each other, that they know they're responsible for each other's work and they have to contain each other. How does the skin of the man communicate with the other organs, keep your heart and your kidney in the same position? Is carbon 12, is carbon 14 in a different strength part of it? Carbon 12 only works in a matter state. In the body of the man, there is no carbon 12. The fact of the fields of carbon 14 behaving like carbon 12 in the dimension of the absorption and the rest creates dynamism in the body of the man. Then it comes, what do we need? What do we have? What do we need to understand about the totality of the creation? Does the cell of the body of the man works on carbon 10? Where the totality of the body of the man works in the dimension of the carbon 14 in a vacuum condition and an outside matter state is carbon 12. How do our scientists take a blood from the body of the man, and then when they test it, they give you that is magnesium, that is calcium, and everything else in a matter state outside the vacuum of body of the man? Whereas the knowledge of the man has missed the information. And where does the body of the man has come to not to understand the difference between the dimensions of the vacuum, inertia, and everything else in respect to the time, place, and position. In the body of the man, if you take a kidney has its own inertia according to the position and the centralized system of itself. Even the lymph of the man has its own inertia that it manifests in that vacuum. What happens inside the body of the man in totality and majority has nothing to do with what happens outside. You walk in the sun, you walk in the heat, you walk in the cold, you walk in the rain. Your limbs don't change characteristics, still operate because they're separate. They operate under their own structure. They have their own inertia. And for man of the science to be able to become the physicians of the space, man has to understand this creation of inertia according to the time, place, and the space in the body of the man, in the galaxy, on Earth, or anywhere else. Otherwise, you will never, ever manifest yourself to be observed, to confirm your existence. The biggest problem for the physicians of today, even coming to cancer, is that the doctors, our physicians and scientists have not understood the creation, the manipulation, the inertia which creates that condition that the cell of the body of the man come together. We call it the cell of cancer. If you change the inertia in a condition and a position, there is no cancer. With the new technologies which are getting developed and getting expanded into the world of the science, very soon, man will know how to get rid of cancers, which is the biggest nightmare. Even the knowledge seekers who've been working on this have not understood. And if we do, we become magicians. Do we need to do magic? Then people understand the science is different. In the coming time, the scientists, those who investigate the depth of the knowledge of the creator and the creation, have to observe, have to understand the interaction of the fields which changes the universal fields to manifestation of the position and time in respect to the fields of the creation and in respect to the inertial conformation of existence. Which means what inertia do you need to confirm the physicality does not matter if it is in the dimension of the plasma. Then the question sits for man on both ends. What inertia, what line of communication happens in the cell of the man, in the minute layers of the kidney of the man? What happens? What line of communication and interaction happens to the creator of the man? How does he communicate with his environment? Well, how does he get the knowledge and the confirmation of existence? Then you understand on both of the scale from created to the creation is all the same. What we pray to prays to another. What we live through lives through another. Man, to be successful to transmute from the point of his own creation to his creator, man has to understand the line of communication. And then the position and strength of the inertia of the existence. We call it gravity. We call it miniature gravity inertia. But how does change the position? What does the gravity of the Earth in the dimension of the plasma of the solar system has led to the creation of the Earth? Can we replicate this gravity and all its facets and assets and failures to create another dimension? The same. Or does this position of the creation of the Earth with its inertia, which has led to the emotion of the man's creation of himself, can lead to the misconduct of the man, the dimension of the soul in another part of the universe? Isn't this why we are here to correct it? As we had enough of the misconduct of the souls which left the dimension of creation from this planet, as their own creation was based on the wrong strength fields of what we call inertia of the creation. Need of the man to kill, need of the man to destroy, need of the man because his boss did not supply. If your husband doesn't bring enough food home, what do? You go to the neighbor, you go shopping, you go and get something to survive. So is the behavior of the man on this planet. The planet does not supply enough to confirm, to feed the local inertia of the need of the body of the man. So man kills. Like a wife going shopping, man has everything from his environment, 80%, man goes shopping. Shopping another soul, shopping another seed, shopping another plant. But this time, the shopping is eating, slaughtering, and the rest. When you do not have enough, you get it from somewhere, even by stealing. So man has become a thief of other lives. And because he does it and everybody else does it, has become a norm. We all do it because don't eat for 24 hours, don't eat for a few days, you die. So we all become thieves and we justify our theft that we want to survive because the inertial planetary system, the inertial body of the man system has not managed to create the condition to absorb what it needs from free fields of the universe. We are all murderers. In a way, we close our eyes because everybody else does it. We call it meat eaters, we call it vegetarians, we call it every other name except accepting the truth that we kill to survive. And it's normal because we can justify it. What happened if the man changes the dimension of that 20%, then the wife does not need to go shopping. Man does not need to kill. Then it comes to another point, which in the long distance, in the education of the man will become clear. Does the Creator does the same in the dimension of his own dominion and his own inertia to feed the structure of the universe and the unicosmos which is within him. Then it comes to understand when the man becomes a child of the universe in a very short time, do we understand this, that we do not need to create a dimension of inertia, manifestation of physicality in the dominions and the places where it cannot create the totality of the need of the man. Then would this create a new dimension of existence for man? We went from carbon 10 to carbon 12 to carbon 14. Does our Creator lives in the dimension of carbon 16? For his communication and extraction of the fields of his own universe? Does the unicos work on the 16 and the Creator on 18? Or is it just packs of energies we have put numbers to? The bigger you are, the more you eat. A fish is happy with a little olives, and a bear with a full salad. This is how we have to understand. This is how we have to go to the dimension of what we call the knowledge of the creation. We are on the verge of becoming the travelers of the space. In the next few years, man will colonize space in a way that he could never dream. As we start the colonization, in the next 2 to 5 years, with the support of the nations, what would be the next? When we build these space cities, do we test the reality of the life in the space or what man likes to see to be in the space? Do we become realistic? Would the science of space become the part of the life and living of the man? And then the question for many of you, now that you have learned about the dimension of the soul, that you have learned you can travel without the dimension of physicality, is how do I teach the soul of physicality within me to become obedient to the law of the creation and accept that it can live with different dominion of the inertia that does not need to lead to manifestation. Go back and look at something many of you do on a daily basis. You call it electricity. We call it production of energy. What happens when the knowledge of a man extends to the point that he understands he doesn't need the rotating magnet and the iron for him or the copper for him to create electricity or energy? We don't see rotating magnets in the dimension of matter state, and we see so many lightning and thunder. When will man learn this knowledge? And then if you can do this, what does it absorb? What does it bring? Where mankind has missed the knowledge of the creation. Does our Creator subjected to the creation by itself? Or has the man become subjective, and objective. What is interesting to us is how do we become part of the process of the technology of the creation? And how do we become part of understanding of the creation? How do we extend our knowledge to the point that we understand the dominion of manifestation, confirmation of existence, without need to confirm physicality? We call it the state of dreaming. We call it the state of understanding. We call it the understanding of totality. But the reality is different than what we've been taught in the schools of and universities of the man. All the knowledge of man is based on man's understanding of the matter state, not on understanding of the fields of the universe. And would we and do we need to extend the knowledge of the man to the dimension of the creation in the universe? Otherwise, man will not become the man of universe because he doesn't know how to survive. I'll let you loose from a space station, you suffocate. I'll let you loose without the monkey cloth of NASA on the moon, you die. Because you think you need that oxygen, you gasp for what it is, the matter state of the earth. When would you learn that the way you jump off the side of the pool in the pool and you swim for a time in it is the same as jumping out of the space lab? You adjust yourself to take energy from the environment and change to it. We do that at the point of birth. We are in a beautiful swimming water of the womb of the mother. And with one instance, we change to air breathers. When we change that instead of breathing air, we jump into taking energy from the universal level, that we have no fear of jumping out, and we can keep the position and the condition of the body of the man if we want. Then the colonization of the space is a reality of this minute and this moment. Not in 20 years or 50 years, or as a guy told me one day, we believe cache technology when it's on CNN. What happened when there is no more CNN and the Fox doesn't control it? The name of the owner goes with the animal it represents, the fox, the thief. So, are we thieves of our own physicality, or have we foxed it out of fear of not understanding the truth about the creation? Try to create conditions that it gives you the line of connection. I can build you all the systems you want. Obey souls and rest, head units and rest. But when would you learn to allow the emotion to subside? The magnetic field of the body of the man to harmonize, that allows when you choose the soul of the man to travel the span of the universe without the physicality leaving the earth. And don't call it a dream. In the sessions of addiction coming up in the next few weeks, on 28th or so of this month, many of you will change this challenge. You have to. You will be chained to it. We are not testing you if you're a drug addict. You're learning not to be addicted to killing. You'll be tested not to be addicted to the air of this planet that controls you. As always said, our work has hidden agenda, but that we cannot bring all out because many of you will not do what to learn, but you become another copycat. You come to learn not to be addicted to alcohol, but in reality, we are working on the soul to learn how to become the passengers of the universe. You're happy with your alcoholism. You're happy to make you a man of the universe. To open a dimension with the soul of the man. Then it comes to a simple thing. How come the Keshe Foundation systems can do it, but we can't? And they become a magician, and we are not. Isn't the truth? And the fact is that we take the dimension of inertia, of physicality, away from the soul of the man. It allows this man himself to become the representative of his own creation and dimension of his created dominion. The whole structure of the creation is like a line and a blip. Depends what that line is and what the blip is. The line of creation is a hydrogen, single structure-based energy. And the blips can be carbon 16, carbon 14, carbon 12, carbon 10, anything you want to call it, carbonated, the way you like it, you would name it, but in fact has no dimension. It has a string field dimension that at a given point its structure manifests itself according to its inertia. And then how do we create an inertia? Go to book one and read the book one thoroughly. When it comes to inertia, when it talks about the magnetic field and gravitational field, and understand, now that you understand the plasma in a different way, what does it mean? You looked at it on the matter state the first time, look at it this time at the point of the creator. The words are saying the intelligence of the man, which gives it different meaning. Then you can create anything in any dimension. Then you become the magician of the universe because now you can create what you like, what you think you like, what you think others don't know. And if I show it, I'll be smarter. Then man has to come to understand the totality. Then man has to come to understand the dimension of physicality and the dimension of the fields of the universe, and learn how to live in both dimensions, or through the interaction of the two, lives in the dimension of the emotion of the existence. Man can live happily in the emotion, does not need to have a connection with the soul or the soul of physicality, or what we call the inertia of the creation. When you put the soul of the man within the structure of the physicality of the man, you have a problem of feeding it. When you put the soul of physicality of the man within the soul of the man, what would the problem be? If the inertia of the location and position is not controlled, is not understood, if it's not balancing itself. This is the point. In many teachings in hidden way, I have tried to explain But maybe today we can just open the door into this. A little gap, a ray of light that it might open some of your eyes to the reality of the creation and fear of departing or letting the soul of the man to bring in the position and dimension of the soul of physicality within it. What you call the point of death. Man can die at any point if he feels it, because he'll become the light. He becomes the plasma energy. The fear of the man from end now is the joy of the man in his hand to now that they understand the knowledge of the creation. How do you change the field of your body to become the soul of the creation, become the inertia matter state of the man in the condition of the fields of the vacuum of energy fields of the soul of the man? If the soul of the man contains the soul of physicality of the man, or what we call the inertia of the man, man can even manifest himself within the soul of the man in a dimension of physicality. Isn't this what Earth does within the structure of the soul of the solar system? Are we any different? Haven't we understood? Is there a planetary system within the structure of the motion of the sun? What we see outside is the reflection and the twin setup of the system inside. This is not far from the truth. Read the book of Three, where we talk about cluster of the stars and galaxies rotating different way than the rest in that region. Our universe internally lives and interacts with what is outside it. How does our universe shine in its own unicos? Are we too far from the edge to see the light of the unicos, which interacts with our solar system of the creation of the universe? We come to understand more. We come to see more. We come to comprehend more of the knowledge. But we have to understand the truth about the interaction of the fields. How do we change a field into inertia? How do we change this field to what we call inertia of a cell, inertia of a planet, inertia of the solar system, inertia of the universe? That we can manifest ourselves anywhere, in any position, place, and time. Would the time comes as we wish to travel into the span of the universe and go to the moon and Mars in parts as a connection with our soul, we travel within us. We go to the cell of the cancer and find out how we can change the inertia. How we ourselves, through the interaction of our own souls with solar physicality, can heal ourselves within ourselves. Then becomes the magic? Or is the lack of the knowledge has created a false magician? In a coming time, in the process of the systems which is getting developed, we teach you how to do it. I've done this with knowledge seekers who are close to us. We ask them to go in and feel the liver, feel the kidney, feel the heart. They tell you is sick, is weak, is shriveled, is this, is that. Some of you knowledge seekers here, you're those who've done this with me. Then, how many times and the way I have told you, try to give energy from the soul to the organ. Try to give it the inertia and the condition of the fields of the creation. As we go into the excursions of the universe, we have to be able to go to excursion of within ourselves. Those knowledge seekers who've been around with me in these matters, they know, they touch the liver, they say it's sick. How's your kidney? It's not feeling good. So give it the energy. Try to give what you can. Try to learn how to give to yourself from inside. What we teach is not just theory. It's practiced on many of you in different ways, and many of you understand it. But now has to become a global knowledge. It has to become an understanding of the knowledge, not only for man, but for the citizens of the universe. The purpose of the teaching of today is to teach you, for you to understand both dimensions, within and without. What is outside can be achieved inside. If the man travels to the dimension of another planet in the universe, man can travel within himself too. Do you choose carbon 14 to go, but you choose carbon 10 to go within? These are all energy packs. We give it names out of our own ridiculous stupidity of not understanding the truth. Do you give a glass of water to a newborn child when it's thirsty? Or do you give a drop of water to a grown-up man to satisfy his thirst? Both does not work because man has not understood that horses were courses. You have to understand what needed, but in the strength of the fields of the universe, not in the size of the cup and a drop. Humanity is entering the process of excursion into the universe. Would you like to go with the donkey of UFO? Or would you like to go with the jumbo jet of the soul of the man? Both is option on the table. But it seems man prefers the donkey because man can sit on it the way he sits on the knowledge of the creation and denies the rest. The way the man kills and denies the truth, he does not need to kill because he can tap into the universal energy and satisfy that 20% where its planet did not know. If the planet Earth would have released, would have absorbed the dimensional fields of the energies which we supply to the galaxies, which is part of his own creation, would any man ever kill to eat? The new language is much nicer and much funnier. I'm a vegan. I don't cook it, I eat it raw. It's like when you go to a steakhouse, they make an order American, which is just the minced meat, not cooked. What's the difference between a vegan and a man who eats American? I do not know, except the lack of understanding the truth. We are bored, tucking in the life of another entity. But this time, we don't cook it. We're going back to time when a man had no knowledge of fire, back in the evolution of the science. Then the question for many of you is, how many funny labels will turn up very soon on the door of our restaurants? Raw plasma, vegan plasma. Then would that vegan plasma become another entity in life from another dimension and direction of the creation? Hypocrisy in knowledge has led to stupidity of man in life. Understanding the process of the connection between all dimensions is the reality of what we call existence in the universe. Try to understand not only the connection, but manifestation as that connection can give you a manifestation that you might not like. You try to go to planet Zeus, and on the way you made a mistake, you land up as a kidney of a cat. Oops, where did I go wrong? How long do I have to stay here till the cat dies? You get yourself in a very bad model. If you do not understand what modeling is with the knowledge of the creation, understand the process of interaction, understand the process of the creation, understand the interaction of the fields, and then you understand the gravity, then you understand the pressure, then you understand how positioning in the dimension of the fields create the new direction. In a way, gravity and the space travel have the same meaning. If you understand in our space nuclear reactors how we expand this knowledge, how do we bring the knowledge of the nuclear into the knowledge of understanding the creation? When we speak about the nuclear, we have to speak about the energies. We don't look at what is there, how many protons, how many neutrons. We call it, this is a nuclear material, gives alpha radiation, beta radiation. We are not concerned if it has 200 electrons or 2 electrons. Now you have to understand that process of the interaction, which leads continuously, does not matter in which dimension and strength, to creation and the release of alpha radiation. You get it from helium as much as you can get it from plutonium. Then you come to understand energy transformation, interaction of the fields of the universe, interaction and creation of multi-layers of gravity that each one gives you what you need. The gravity of the solar system in the dimension of its inertia leads to the creation of the gravitational field of the Earth. In fact, our gravity is there because it has been allowed to exist within the inertia of a given space-time and position. It's gravity to us, but it's inertia to the solar system. It's soul to us, but it's a soul of physicality in the dimension of the fields of the creation. Then man needs to know in a way where and how to create or live within both. How can you create both in the same dimension and create the dimension of living? We call it greenhouse. We bring the glass and we create a condition of the desert, the condition of the forest in the middle of the North Pole. And we bring the animals of it there to show we are very good. You see, the animals exist, the plants exist because we managed to replicate. Why can't we replicate the condition of any corner of the universe within our soul? That within it, we don't need to travel the span of the universe. The strangest thing is, we know how to do it. We call it a feeling. We call it the emotion of, oh, my dear, I know how you feel. I've been there. I feel your pain. And literally, you actually feel the pain of your child because you know through the interaction of the fields you're connected. Do you need to travel the span of the universe to get the emotion of the man in a given time or position? to feel the emotion of the universe in that point and its inertia? Or have we ignored another dimension in the path of the existence? How far, how deep we have ignored the knowledge which we have just to live in a dimension of physicality, and how much hypocrisy sits within our own confirmation of our own existence. Today's teaching is to open your eye, as usual, to another dimension and position, to another structure, to another understanding of the totality. Then mankind become wise to understanding the process of the creation. Do I need to have carbon-16 energy to reach the soul of the physicality of the creator, let alone carbon-18 to get to the soul of the creator? Or do I choose the path of hydrogen to get in, and when I get in, I boost it up to get the energies which is within me to get to that point? And this is what I've said many times. If you understand the process of the creation of life, in 1 second, you can reach the soul of the creator. It's just knowing which line of travel to take to reach. Not all roads end up in Rome. Some end up in the ocean. Depends which way you took the road. Try to understand the process of creation. Try to understand the process of interaction of the fields. Go back on teachings. How many times I have told you, don't look at the magraphs. Look at the field of the magraphs. And if you understand that, then you have opened a new dimension, the process of creation. But all you're happy is plug it in. You have a knowledge through the magraphs, to the source of creation, to energy of the universe. But you're happy with the crumbs to pay 10% less to the electricity man who himself took from the energy of the universe. But in the matter state of the field, the strength of the map, as long as you stay ignorant, the people who abuse you as an electricity man, as a water supply, as a priest and mullahs and the rest. It's you who allows the abuse. We can tap into the energy of the fields, and as many of you joined us in dining with a creator, and you had enough water in your mouth and it's like, what was the difference 10 minutes before you get in? You're in the same environment, you're in the same room, in the same chair, waiting the session to start. And so, why suddenly, at that moment when we say start, you're on the beginning of the rider track. I can taste water. I have so much saliva. 77% of you. Or now you have understood, is you who has drawn a line of ignorance to the knowledge of the creation. We have a reason to put these teachings every month, because it takes a month for you to understand, to analyze, and if you felt it, what does this mean? In the coming few days, when we do the addiction, I'm not alcoholic, I don't need it. Yes, you're addicted to killing. Yes, you're addicted as a vegan to eat raw. I don't kill it, I just eat it. I don't cook it to keep energy from somewhere. And it's fashionable to be vegan, and it's fashionable to eat American. I just add some mince to the meat, some of more of herbs to make it tastier, with some more other herbs which I have taken to add to it. Is there any difference between the rosemary put in and God knows what in the meat? Then another life. Now we make it tastier. Those of you who are vegetarian, spend half an hour with me. You will change your time and eating habit in no time. Those of you who are vegan, worse. And those of you who are meat eaters, you do not know which way to run. It's just, it opens your eyes. If I can do this, can't I find a way to tap in the energy which they give, which they don't need without killing them? The problem with us is that when we look at the dry beans, when we look at dry rice, to them, to us, it's a matter state, but it's alive, still in it, has got the seed of life. You just need to plant it and you see it grow. But we choose to ignore it. As I always said, if you give a man a chance, he'll water a ship for it to grow, because then he has more of. But the only thing is that the man cannot ground a ship to the ground and let it graze on its own place. But we do it with grains and with God knows what, because they look solid to us, they have no soul. As I said to one of my children when he was young, and if you understand the strength of the statement, you take two seeds, you eat one, and you plant one. One grows what grows out of that plant. Then you care for it. It has value, it has life. Don't cut this branch of it, Papa. Don't break that part of it. How come you ate the brother? Now you have emotions for the other. Is the ignorance of understanding the process of the creation of life, which has brought man to this point, to walk, to excursions, and to stability of character. Man only puts man in prison when he kills another man. Man does not put man in prison when he kills another animal, a plant, a seed, and whatever, because we have made exceptions, because we all do it. Now that we have the knowledge, should there be any exception? Should in the coming time man frown on those who eat any old fashion? We are plasma eaters. But would we learn to steal from the plasma of the others? Or would we learn that we are there, that what is available, that no one needs, we are there to be served? Some animals eat once a year by killing one animal, and that's enough for them. And some men kill every day in thousands, and they call it bowl of cereals. We are lower than those. Understand to what field the strength of the universe you need to connect yourself to be able to feed yourself in that dimension in the million. That You do not carry the habit of killing into space. And the whole purpose of teaching of today is that. As I always say, if I give you enough knowledge that you manage to face the soul of your creator as an energy pack, would you eat it? And to see how it tastes. Try to understand, try to extend the knowledge of your soul by yourself. When you can't do, I'll give you a lot of technologies, a lot of sessions in the system for your soul to expand in a way. I devacuumize your field that you expand more. Have you ever blown a balloon in an environment and then vacuumed it from outside and see how it grows to fill up the space of the vacuum you created? That's all we do with your soul in these systems. We create balanced energy fields that your soul can expand and come to understand the dimension of physicality, the dimension of creation and interaction with others. But we have to cover it under every name and possibilities that you can fool yourself. Try to understand the process of interactions. Try to understand what means to have inertia. What is inertia to me and the gravity to you? And what is inertia in the cell of a cancer and the gravity in the body of the man? Then the physicians of today will have no problem curing every cancer within seconds. But at the moment, we still have to play the game. What is the inertia of the emotion that leads the man to create himself to the point of death with ILS? What field does it extract that is connected to the emotion and the direction of the strength of the field of the soul of the man and the physicality and the inertia of the totality of the fields of the physicality of the man? Would it come the time, in the coming time, where man will master the field, the strength of the emotion? Man will master the strength of the field of the, what we call life, in any dominion and dimension. And if you understand this, we go back to what I said many times. With one drop of water, I'll create a fish in the tank. With one strength field of the emotion and the devotion of understanding, and manifest Christ in front of you that many of you has been feeling, touching, being aware of his presence when you go in our system. That's all we do. And he can do it anytime, any place in the universe. We go for a break and come back. But listen to this teaching many, many times of today. And it opens and unravels many secrets that the first time you don't understand. Then you understand where man has made a fool of himself as a vegan, vegetarian, and meat eater, where in fact he could have enjoyed the existence of those that he's eaten by just being present in what they do not need. When an object manifests itself to you, it means I'm giving for you to see me. Why do you need to eat me when I already give the field of my existence? And then you understand, does man need to kill in space to confirm his existence? We go through a break and we come back. And if any of you have become wise to the knowledge, we answer you the questions of the creation. Thank you very much, Rick. If you'd like to take us through old-fashioned breaks or new fashion, you can announce the list of the products which is available for many of you, and you don't claim because others disclaim you by paying for it. It's a donation for you to enjoy the beauty of creation.
Sorry, did you say that you want to do that now or after the break?
You can do it, but that's a break. If you want to take a break that way, it's still a break.
Sorry, I still don't understand. It's hard to hear you, Mr. Kesh. It's very muffled today. The sound has been very muffled. I'm missing about every 10th word. Say it again.
We're advertising materials which many people don't want. And we have products which many people want and is paid for them to take.
Yes,
so
exactly.
You can do either way.
I've got a list of that. So do you want to deal with that now? Do you want me to
yes,
read it out now?
What we have to give away.
Let me show the list. Okay, here's the list of products, and let me read out what is available for people to collect in this giveaway. We have 3 of the Connecting with the Soul of the Creator, the Addiction Awareness of the 28th of April of this month, or this year, 2023, that is. So there's 3 of those available. There's 2 of the Cosmic Ray Communication Bundle. There's 1 of the GANS Enhancement Plant Care Natural Fertilizer. There's 1 of the GANS Enhancement Plant Care Natural Pest Remover. There's 1 of the GANS Paint Enhancement Energizer Red. 1 of GANS Paint Enhancement Environmental White. 2 of the GANS Kesh GANS Educational and Travel Kit, complete 4 GANS set. 10 of the Kesh GANS Household Reactor. 1 of the Kesh GANS Pants Long and Medium. 2 of the Kesh GANS Pants Long in XXL. 1 of the Kesh GANS Wrist Gel Packs certified. And 2 of the Kesh Plasma Fields Absorption Butterflies. So that's the complete list of what's available presently, and I'm surprised people didn't pick up on that from last time. We didn't really advertise it after that. I didn't think we had to, but I'm sure that people will take action for it now. Now, the best email address for people to use for communicating about this, let me put that up on the screen here. Just a second. It's customer.service@kfm.global. As I think you should be able to see on the screen there now.
Yes, there's this, and we have put the pictures which are donated to the foundation. They were at 3,000, and we get some knowledge seekers who says, "Can I pay €200 for the 2 pictures?" When you make offer for that kind of thing, be quite reasonable that we don't need to say no. And it's something people think, "Oh, I'll try if I get it." Oh, that's it. The cost of transportation you have to pay for pictures is more than what you offer. So it has bigger value. So these are, as we said, knowledge seekers are donating a lot of paying for that is become available for many of you to claim. What we call the tabletop enhancement unit, we already have people who and nominated others or themselves to receive it. We go to those who've been nominated and those who offer they would like to take it, because it shows the way it works. It's more to give than just to take what is there. But on the other hand, is there available? Some of you have already registered for the 25 people for the first sessions in August, September of the teaching. We have kept especially a number of points, positions vacant open in that part for those who cannot afford, and the others can pay for them in a way to donate for them to be available. Most of the people from South Africa will come from African continent, and some of the Asian countries and South Americans cannot afford to be part, but they have the soul to be in the part of the first 25. We have allocated a number of these for those of you who thought, I cannot go, but I put somebody else go, or I'm going, I'll bring somebody else with me to be. So we are looking for those to sponsor these few places we kept, especially for the 25 first group, that allows us to bring a balance, that not all those who could afford it are there, but those who've been given the chance to come in to do it so. And we are still heading for the 200 numbers. In how you join us in the place for the what we call the 1 week extensive teaching, and other things goes with it. As I explained, some people did not understand was that the what we call the process was left open, that they go back to the 200 and then to 65. Once you pay as part of the first 25, you become the rest. Could you please take over, Rick, till I answer this one is urgent? Please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. Let's see, well, we can check out the this month's Connecting with the Soul of the Creator in the Keshe Foundation store. We've got the Addiction Awareness event that will take place on Friday, the 28th of April, which is basically about 2 weeks from now. And that's one of the things that have been offered today in the list that we see here. 3 of the Connecting with the Soul of the Creator Addiction Awareness events. Okay, and the Cosmic Ray Communication Bundle was also mentioned. And version 202301. Okay, so this is the Cosmic Ray Communication Bundle. Includes the headphone unit plus the compact plasma enhancement unit. And the Cosmic Ray Plasma Communication Unit is a plasmatic field communication system. It only interacts with systems that the Keshe Foundation manufactures and is sold by way of the web store or from official resellers. The Cosmic Ray Plasma Communication Unit allows the user to connect at a given time and position to interact with other new cache plasma communication systems. In the near future, this is set to replace the current voice transmitter systems without the use of satellites, and they are usable at any point without satellite or need of extra units. And the compact plasma enhancement unit, it says that the unit is a tabletop plasma generator for small reduction in power. Can also be used in conjunction with the cosmic ray plasma communication unit for plasma space communication and transmutation in the future advancement in technology. Okay, well, Mr. Kesh may be busy for a bit, so I'm going to put on one of our ads here for the vertical enhancement spaceship unit. And we'll have a little commercial break here for a few minutes.
The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before.
Okay, and we're back here at the 481st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, April 13th, 2023. And this is the second part of the show. And I see Mr. Kesh seems to have the microphone open there. Hello, Mr. Kesh.
Yes, we are back in. We are here ready to answer any questions you might have. Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. And let me remind the attendees here in our Zoom webinar that they can raise their virtual hands and we can open your microphone so you can ask a question. And also people in our live stream services can type a question into the chat and we can have a go at that as well. Now we have a couple of questions in the Q&A to start with. So let's begin with Carlos, who says, "Good morning, Mr. Kesh and all seekers of knowledge. We kindly ask you to advise us more about human stress in plasma technology. We appreciate your guidance."
What do you mean by stress? That's something we have to understand. What is a stress? What is the point? What we call human stress is, or emotional stress, or which part of the stress you want to talk about. We have to understand how we create emotional stress and what strength is it at, and how it affects the rest of the physicality. And how come with gases, with application of the plasma technology, many of the stresses, physical or emotional, are resolved. Many of you call a stress as a pain, physical pain, you use against and it goes. Why does it do that? Why do we see these kind of things? Why do we see changes? Psychological stress has a strength to it. Depression has a strength to it. Pain in your muscle tissue has a strength to it. We have to research in depth to find, to measure, and to replace. Nowadays, our doctors look at, oh, you're short of vitamin this, and you're short of vitamin that, and you're short of this mineral, you have this disease, that disease, this condition, that condition. Our scientists never looked at the dimension of the creation in the body of the man is a plasma. What fields is he short of that we can provide? In the future, when you go to a doctor and you say, I have a depression, the doctors can measure the strength field of the energy which is needed to satisfy that lack of energy. The future science of the man, understanding the structure of the man is not matter state, but is a magnetic field plasma state, will change all these things. In the upcoming universities and educational centers, as they understand more and more about the real process of creation, man will find another way to handle this. Man will find easier way to handle most of the what we call diseases of today. We have lost our way and we have added so much that the way is lost on the way. I was talking to somebody some time ago. They say Chinese herbal medicine used to work and be effective, and today it's not as effective as it used to be. It's the same plant. What we did, we add chemicals and fertilizers, we add pollution to it. So it's the same thing, but it has more additive to it. That those additives take the energy from where it used to. So if we can produce the same herb, the same whatever it is, without the new additives, Chinese medicine, herbal medicine will have the same effect as 100 years ago, 200 years ago. It's us who does not understand what we've done to us, to ourselves. And it's us who haven't understood the process of creation. When we are born, and let's say we are in a perfect condition, emotionally, whatever, doctors will take a reading of all our emotions. And in 10 years' time, when you go to a doctor, he says, oh, this is the record of your depression. It was no depression, and now it is. So we add up this energy to you to bring it to the balance where it used to be. And the whole process of the understanding of the creation of the body of the man, it'll change in the coming years. When you bring someone to the doctors of the Keshe Foundation today who have been trained in the old medicine of the present universities, the doctors of the medicine today, they'll ask you, you get all these, God knows what, this, oh, this is elevated, you got this, up and a doctor which is trained by the Keshe Foundation will ask us, can you give me the composition of matters in your body? I don't want to see how the accident has happened. I want to see the cause of the accident. Because the understanding of the knowledge is that you need to have these energy sources to create those effects. Today, when you go and see a cancer data from the doctors, or you get everything, the size of the red cell, the size of the white cells, the volume, the count, and everything else. Excuse me, can you have a boiling water if you don't have a kettle to boil it? And then can you have a kettle if you don't have a still to make that kettle? And can you have the still, but if you don't have the electricity to heat it up, to heat the water, to have the boiling water, to see what it does? What the doctors tell you is a boiling water. So we look how to get the energy from the boiling water. But what about that iron and that kettle which boiled it? Why can't you adjust the temperature there that you don't get the boiling water, you get the white water, you don't burn? This is the different step in the knowledge, different understanding of the creation. Today is the medicine works with the boiling water and then it's burned. Now we do the skin, we do high blood pressure and the rest of it. Go and find out what you put. You use copper instead of iron. You use zinc instead of copper. So you have created a different dilemma at the beginning, or it's too much of copper in the alloy, which creates a different standard of temperature, whatever you call it. So in the present science, we are and we always fighting how to find a solution, but we never look at the cause of the problem. In all traditional medicine, They used to look at some of the causes due to the effect they see. I come from generation of the medicine there, generation and generation of. So when I look at new science and when I look at what my ancestors used to do, and I see what the hypocrisy, what has grown up to be the new world of medicine, because it just makes money but doesn't do much. In 2008, when I went to Iran, I met my aunt, the sister of my father, and she was in her late ages, and she was telling me about my grandmother and my grandfather. She what I heard about the grandfather, but what she saw with my grandmother, as the family were men of medicine for centuries, for decades, for generations. As a young girl, she observed the mother, and she said, when mom went to that room, I know there is a cure. The guy can be helped. If mom went in the other room, I said it's going to die because mom knew cannot do anything. It was just there to help. So they had a knowledge, and they didn't have vitamin C's and paracetamols. They only had the herbs. They only had what earth provided, and they understood the interaction. That a young girl of 8, 9 years old could observe what the mother does and what decision is made about the one who's come to ask for help. So our today's technology has gone haywire with more tablets, more false report, more everything else to satisfy the pocket of some people who just pay for it to be fooled. We have to look at the cause, not at the what we call the accident at the end. When you don't have a brake, you have a damage to the car. It doesn't matter how many times you repair the car, you haven't fixed the brake. And it's the same with emotion, same with stress. You have to find out what field of strength causes that stress and what has come in the dimension of emotion to become a stress. It's not anymore iron or zinc. It's what emotion, others' emotion, interaction with the soul of physicality has created that depressed you. And what is needed to create, to give, to bring it to balance. We're talking about the field. If I tell you I love you, you get the feeling of everything. And if I tell you I hate you, it's the same man, the same woman, the same voice, you feel the others. But so we have to come to understand emotion has a field strength. And the word of the man carries that emotion, that field strength. We have not even analyzed, men of the science have not even come to understand this. What emotion, what energy comes from my soul of physicality to the words that in interacting with you gives you the feeling of the stress or depression or love. We have not understood anything about the world of creation, and we call ourselves the king of the animals. We are king, but animals. Kingdom has always said stupidity of not understanding, but claiming to be. Can we go back and measure what I say, what field it creates that leads to joy and happiness? So we know this is the field and strength of the voice which creates happiness. Have you ever tested this? No, because we never understood. But not only recording, finding out what has happened, what caused in the body of the man to speak that word of happiness? what interactions went inside. It's again that kettle and the boiling water. This is what we need to understand. Otherwise, oh, I took some zinc water. It's very strange. 99% of the knowledge seekers have zinc, CO2, copper, and CH3. And they want to solve everything with it. In the periodic table, there is quite a few more than these things. 100 more. What about them? Would uranium feel the strength to create happiness and energy as the GANs of the lead creates depression and anxiety? Then we have to understand we need new tools of knowledge, new understanding of the knowledge of creation, but the way it's created, not the way we would like to think is, because if it fits our meager understanding, then it fits for us to understand. Any other question?
Yes, Mr. Kesh, we have a hand up here from Peter, and he also had a question in the Q&A, and it has to do, he has been in the Kesh Plasma reactor group in the last couple of weeks as well, and showing his creations of amino acids and techniques for creating GANSs. And he uses higher voltages than we normally do, and has created a lot of quantity of GANSs. I'd like to have him talk directly rather than read his question, because I'm sure he can explain things better. So go ahead, Peter.
Hello, Mr. Kesh. Hello, Rick. My name is Peter. I'm from Holland. I'm trying to create a Magra feeding device or a plasmatic feeding device. At the current state, it is in a shape of a cup. I have used in it 3 different amino acids because from what I understand, we can get from them magnetical gravitational fields at similar strength that we are getting from different foods we consume. I have also added GANSs of content of seawater and a composite GANS of iron and deuterium on it. I know from your teachings that we absorb 80% of energies from environment, but we are chained to this 20% of energies, which we need to gather from the food and water. So this device that I'm trying to create, I'm trying to create with this device field strength of this missing 20% of energies that we need to gather from outside, from the food and water. And I'm not sure how much of percentage of the total gravitational magnetical fields these devices produces. If there's a need, I can show pictures of this device, how I set it up all together. And my question would be how to create from those 3 different amino acids. I've put it on the device, and from these composite GANSs, how to create billions and billions of combinations of field strength that every cell in our body will get what it needs from the fields.
First of all,
let's explain everything.
Yeah, I understand. First of all, the production of GANSs, as briefly explained, as I understand, with different voltages and high currents does not make that much difference in the state of the GANs produced, because limitation is in separation. Once an atom separates as another material into a singularity, or what we call a gas, unless you can absorb more energy and you can create energies above its matter state gas, then it evolves. But again, to the matter level. If you introduce a GANs current to the GANs, you will see it behave different. So there are a lot of limitations, a lot of understanding. This is why a long time ago I spoke about GANs of ganses, creating ganses out of the energy balance, not out of matter state balance. And if the scientists of today, or knowledge seekers of today, will understand this, then we can create a lot of new condition damage. Does not matter how much current you produce. The only thing you will change is very limited, because the rest of the energy you put in as a matter, current or voltage, will not change much in the structure of the GANs, energy magnetic field paths. You affect the boundaries they create, but you won't affect the actual entity. And till those come into balance, you might see your ganses change color from one thing to another, because they're just like a virus, they give energy somewhere else till they deplete to the energy they are. And to create a true multiplication of the ganses and the fields of the body of the man, the knowledge seekers are about maybe 3-5 years away. None of you have understood this. That to create a combination of the ganses that the full body of the man needs, you have not come to understand the totality of the truth about the creation in the dimension of this created system. And as I always said, I play along with you till you understand. The knowledge seekers who work around me, work with me, to understand this. I teach, I explain something, and if it's understood at a point, I'll let it go. Months later, years later, I'll come back to it and say, remember we did this, now you understand the knowledge? As knowledge seekers, if you carry on with what you're doing with the ganses you created and you're trying to feed yourself, you'll still be shortfalling on what this planet has done. And a few knowledge seekers, what I see and what I hear in the scientific world, and knowledge seekers who are the layman, like many of you, you have not come to understand this. You make ganses, but you still need to go and eat, because you have not managed to create a spectrum of the field energies of the body. In the body of the man, you need GANs of uranium, you need the GANs of plutonium, you need the GANs of gold, you need the GANs of hydrogen, you need the GANs of every other element. And sometimes the closest you can get to, not even near to, is the GANs of the seawater. But again, which water from which sea? All the animals in the ocean are not the same. Depending on the combination of the elements and condition, you get different fishes and animals in the ocean. But one thing you have to realize is that, do you see men in the sea today? So The sea does not provide all man needs, otherwise man would have been living in the ocean. Man lives out of the combination of the fields of the matter, liquid, and the gas of this planet. When you manage to understand this, then you understand you access to some of the knowledge that it needs to feed the man. This is why we are different color and races and creeds. You don't find, as our what I call knowledgeable politicians said, the polar bears are eating all the other ones, penguins, and that's the problem of global warming. What he didn't understand was that polar bears are in the North Pole and they have a long way to swim, that all the ice in the North Pole melts, that they can get to the South Pole to eat the penguins. That's why we don't have Mr. Al Gore as president of the United States. He never came to understand the polar bears are in the north and the penguins in the south. And he was the head of CO2 and the global warming of us as human race. So understand, you need a combination of the fields of the air of this planet, a combination of the matter state of this planet, which comes in through the soil, through the matter states we absorb, to the animals who eat it. And then we need to understand what the liquids of this planet creates and gives us, because we drink it all the time. Does not matter how many times is siphoned, cleaned, and pasteurized, and everything else. So for you to understand how to create a system to feed the man, is you have to bring everything together. If you have been somebody who worked with me years ago when I used to build a system, you always got 3 bottles from me. One was for the air, one was for the water, and one was for eating, which is the body of the man absorbed. So when you try to get to this point, when you try to get to the point of creating gases that you can feed, you can create disbalances in the body. And if you create it with a high energy, doesn't mean that you get a higher level energies from your gases. You have to understand the whole proposition of life on this planet and anywhere else. We have a question mark now. We are planning to colonize Moon in the next 2 years, next 5 years, with cooperation of governments. We are planning not to take anything to the moon. No greenhouses, no cows, no grain. But we have to be able to supply all the needs of the soul of the man, that in manifestation in the dimension of physicality, that entity can survive the conditions on the moon. Does not mean to wear a monkey suit, a spacesuit. It means to manifest, have enough energies, conditions that you can move, you can survive, you can enjoy the condition. Colonization does not mean imprisonment of man in greenhouses under pressure and temperatures. When you go from England to Australia, you don't put yourself in a greenhouse because you are You live in a condition of the environment. And this should be the same for the man in space. Otherwise, we have not changed in knowledge and technology. This is why we teach, we promote, we try to get you to understand about the energy package of the man. We call it the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man. How does your inner gravity, which we call the soul, interacts with the gravity of the moon, that in interaction with the presence of the field of inertia creates being that can survive on the moon. Otherwise, we just change a prison to another. Try to understand. The teaching from now on will be very extensive if you understand it. If you don't understand it, as one of my sons, you say, Papa, it just goes over me. I don't understand. I was with a group of people very recently, and one said, this is whatever he talks, is nothing in the books, is against everything, it's upside down. And the head of negotiation said, you know something? We're going to write the books that people understand this because this makes sense. Then, because it's in the book in the university, you accept it because you read it. I looked, I said, it's the first time I've seen a wise man. He said, we can't accept it because Newton and Einstein, blah, blah, blah. He said, now we open the universities and we write the books about this knowledge because it makes sense. Then man understands and work and develop the correct way. This is what the problem with a lot of our knowledge seekers is. Not a problem. We haven't been educated. The problem is the lack of education in the right way. We teach you all in a matter state, and now we bring you to university and we want to teach you about the plasma. It doesn't work. But it doesn't work, it doesn't mean it's wrong. We haven't learned the two dimensions. And things look strange. We want to achieve things and then it doesn't work. And example of this was we tested, this was one of the reasons I tested the food session last month. And we brought you back to see how many of you, how you felt, what you had. Did you feel energy? Did you feel lose weight? Whatever. This was for us to test how good our system are set up. It wasn't about you, how you feel to eat. Actually, the whole of the trial of the food was for the Keshe Foundation scientists to understand what we were missing in the development of the technology. How come you could not be fed and not to eat continuously? And what was missing in our structure of development? In the upcoming systems, when we put, you've seen we put a system that you pay €1,000 per year, you get all the food. What was missing? 70-odd% or 30-odd% had a saliva. So the system is correct to produce water. We are missing the others. And then what are we missing long term that we don't cause other problems, lack of depletion of other things in our system and technology? You were happy to eat with the creator, but we were happy to learn what we need to correct in our systems. And for that reason, we have added into the system now testing going for minerals, matter state. That if we can give you completion of the short, what we call minerals, that gives you a long-term reduction in hunger. And this is what came out in research. In you dining with the creator of the system found out what needs to be completed more. They are all part of this development of technology. But I have to drag you with different things, dying with the things, drug addiction, war leaders, to see what is the emotional part of the system we need to adjust. What we need in you not wanting to eat all the time the same thing to deplete my system, all from the strawberries next time. This addiction to strawberry. How can I I drag you in if you're alcoholic, if you want to, for us to see how our system is, that when it comes to the final system, we understand all the problems. Meeting with the soul of the world leaders was very important to see how we can affect the emotion in our system. That you feel happy, you heard, you can bring the change, you see yourself equal as a world leader. And what do we need change? When we do that survey at the end, it's not for you to see what, it's for us to see where the system needs fixing. When you feel you're heard, you're satisfied. When you feel you're not heard, you behave somewhere to become a radical. And this is what we cannot afford. So I have to satisfy that system, build a system that feels you're heard. When you're on the moon in a colony, I don't get riots. I don't get man on board, the men that's over the board. You come in for what you think, but at the same time, we let you do. We allow things to happen, but we're gathering knowledge in how to adjust our system. Since the creation of what we told you about meeting with the creator, we are very happy to came and whatever. For us was to monitor what system is missing. If you understand it, I'll put it to you this way. You eat sugar for immediate energy. You eat vegetables for a short term. You eat meat for a long-term energy. Or grains who have protein equal to meat for a long term, 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. But these carry different minerals, they carry different elements. And in the time, on the table of the dining with the creator, we monitored why some of you have to come back. Why do you feel hungry? So why some of you had no difference? Long-term, those of you who felt better, you took more energy, your physicality, lost some weight. Because the minerals are that neat. Which means we need to bring in games of the heavier elements into the fields of the system. Then you will last your energy at the higher level 24 hours, 48 hours. And when you take energy that way, the body doesn't need it, it comes through the soul, it comes through the dimension of what we call energy fields. So whatever you do around and walk around and work is burning what is not needed as fat, and you lose weight. So you have to understand the process and in a way to perfect the system. The next structure for us, the next cycle of teaching for many of you is to construct. You go to the moon, you want to stay there for 2 or 3 days, you want to feel the dimension of it. I can't take you bricks, sorry. And I can't take you concrete to build you. You want to have a tent that you open up, you enjoy this side of the moon and tomorrow that. I have to build energy system which creates walls, partition. These are what is to come. And it's not something. Read the pattern it was put out 17, 18 years ago for you. Now you're coming to it. Those walls you stay in has to create energies that they feed you. It's what you need without you killing. What happened if you see an alien on the moon? Oh, the first thing I haven't eaten, I better see how it tastes. I better eat it. Didn't man do that in the craft in the airplane a few years ago? Fell in the snow in the mountain and they start eating each other. Didn't happen in South America when they got stuck on the mine. They were attacking who's going to be eaten first. Is man going to take this habit into the space? Or as a scientist developing this technology, we have to look after all of it. And by test or whatever, if I want to do a survey to understand this, go and find somebody who bring thousands of people, 6 years. I announce I want to do addiction, 100, 200 of you come in. I get the data, I get the information, what is wrong, what we have to increase, what we have to, and you're happy, you got rid of your addiction to chocolate. So it's a matter of exchanging. You give us the knowledge, we give you the satisfaction. To become the man of space needs a lot of knowledge. The true man of space, you're quite welcome. Mr. Musk puts a rocket on the backside of the thing and you're happy with it, you're going. Any other question?
Mr. Kesh, to what I understood, I should look to make ganses and amino acids of different food types, like different meat, rice, milk, vegetables, fruits, and others, to get this necessary field strength for our body, to get this daily need of spectrum of fields for the body.
That's what you need to do, but you have to understand how the body composition is. Go back to 2014 when we had one of these Indian gurus came to the Keshe Foundation Center. And he was very holy because I don't know, 5 or 7 times he managed not to eat for 21 days. And I explained to him how he cheated. You don't need to make ganses. If you understand it, you can take enough from the space to feed yourself. Just twist your lung the wrong way and see if you move a little bit to the right and put the pressure on the right shoulder and put your left leg up. I can taste banana. Now move your shoulder to the up of your neck like a chicken and drag your legs out, change the space of the lung. This tastes like chicken. So next time I want to feel chicken, I stretch my legs and push my neck up, and that's it. I get the energy of the chicken because I taste it. So with the breathing, you can create that. And you can last a long time. But the biggest unfortunate thing is there's no air on the moon. You can stretch yourself to have it because there's no air to breathe. So you have to find solution in a dimension of fields. And it's not just idle vegetables. What about you forgot about the energy of the emotion? Life is a very big pot of fields, which you have to learn to satisfy all of them. Otherwise, you have lack of vitamin C and it gives you this disease, or you have lack of calcium, half of your head disappears. Try, it's good thing you started this way, but try to look in a broader spectrum. And try to understand the totality of need of the man's soul, not the physicality of the man. And then you can feed the man anywhere in the universe. You're still looking in how to feed the man in the dimension of it. And this is what I keep on telling you. Maybe you understand for the first time. Look for the dimension of the strength of the soul of the man, and he feeds a man, and not dimension of vegetables and carrots and tomatoes and potatoes. The soul of the man does not know what a potato is. This is what I said. In one instance, if you understand it, you can reach the soul of the Creator. This is what you got to understand. And if you're still in the dimension of feeding the soul, or in the dimension of feeding physicality with all its pitfalls, seawater, contaminated air, cabbage, and tomatoes, and that make you cancer with. Knowledge seekers like you got that you've gone that far, you have to look over your shoulder, over a little bit further, that you understand the process of the creation. But this time, try to understand the process of creation of the soul of the man, not the physicality of the man, because this physicality on the moon cannot live. We will bring back many carcasses. And then we are in the next level. This is the purpose of the teaching. This is the purpose of expanding the knowledge, but in the smaller steps that slowly, knowledge seekers in different levels and the scientists in the level will come to understand what we have to and where we have to go. Any other question?
Okay, we have a hand up from Azar, but before that, I'd like to throw in the question from Freed in the live stream. It says, "Dear Mr. Keshe, there is a subtle world also here on Earth. We call them elves and fairies and similar. They seem not to consume matter, but live from light, maybe? Can we learn then from them how they do it, even eventually scientifically? Thank you for adding new perspectives."
Oh, I thought fairies are little girls with the wings on their back when they go to birthday party. And the other one is the boys when they go out with it. The reality is we can assume anything we like. And we can take any features we like. If we understand the knowledge, being a fairy or a man should be the same. We haven't understood the knowledge. If you learn to love, and if you learn to receive the love, you're fed for life. But man hasn't understood that. But that love stands with the love of the Creator, not the love of a man, because the love of man is always tempted with something. But his love is pure. And if you can tap into that, you have fed yourself. And if you can tap to the gift to the Creator, the way it's given to you, you find out what you need, become the source of life for others. A lot of you understood, a lot of you come to understand more of this in time, in a very short time.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Hello, Azajan. Are you still in Iraq?
No, I'm back.
They couldn't hold you, could they?
No, I mean, there's no reason to hold me.
So much.
You know, when you talk about the traditional medicine and then how in the past it worked and it doesn't work, and then we know, we're familiar with the Chinese medicine, then Ayurvedic medicine, which is Indian, and then it was interesting when I went to Iran, something interesting happened. And I thought maybe if I share this, it would open something for people, or, if they have any question. For me, it's very interesting because Iran also have traditional medicine, and I don't know how they get training on it. I wanted to ask, how I can learn about that, because when I was going on the plane, I came to lift the overhead luggage thing to close it. I kind of pulled something on my left side. So when I got home, I always had something pulling on my left side hip, and I did yoga, but then this one on the side, it just was so painful. It made me limp. So I told my dad, and then my dad says, let's go to this doctor. I took your mom there, and she's very good. I said, okay, Dad. So we went there, and the place, the office was crowded so much with people, like tons of people, especially women. And the doctor was a woman, and she's very, she has a hijab, a scarf, and she's follows the whole procedure. So I went there and I started talking to her. She said, what was interesting was they asked in the application your date of birth, your full name. And then she started asking questions that all the answer 10 years ago would be yes. But then the answer all was no. And then she touched my shoulder, and then I was kind of screamed. She said, it's coming from here. So she gave me some stuff that we have in Iran, in the herbal store, and also some massage with the cupping, the cupping is different from New York, which Chinese do. And then it was interesting when I answered all this stuff. No, she says, you must be up there. I said, what do you mean I must be up there? She said, you have passed you're in a different level. Which I understood because there's some people, even Ayatollah in Iran, that they are studying Islam, but they're not part of the government. They have their own life, and then they totally don't interfere with any of these things. But some of them, actually, I went to the grave of one of them in the shrine of the Hazrat Masumeh, and then that guy, he could appear in many places in one time. And then if he entered a room and you were gossiping about someone, he would leave. So these people also are trained. So this thing is available. But what it dawned on me is this: when I look at people, and then at the end, I went to different people's home, relative friends, and I went to North. What I realized, people are living really in a very, I noticed like the creator, the whole creation is happening now. What is people are doing, because the information, the created information, all the knowledge, we are swimming in it. But when I look at people say I'm sitting by this ocean, by the sea, and the birds are singing, but then I'm sitting next to them, and they're talking about what happened in the past, and they're pondering on it, and they're pondering on the future, that what's going to happen, and then stressing out about both. Then I realized at the moment, if I'm sitting by the sea and the past is gone, future is not here, and this beautiful sea and the bird is singing, I'm not noticing any of this. So the information of the creator is there, but I'm not soaking it because I'm not present where the creator is. I'm out of the creator boundaries. The border of the creator is now, but most people are swimming in their own, like imagine if there's two pools, there's a pool of shit and there's a pool of water, people are swimming in a pool of shit. And I don't know why. Why do you do that when you can be in a pool of water, it's clear water, and enjoy it, but you drag yourself in this, and they don't know it. And they constantly recycle the same thing over and over. Because when I noticed, like, I wish I could write in your whiteboard, Mr. Keshe, but then something came to me, like, so when suddenly something shifts in us, when we are present, I need the the whole physiology of the body goes so low. Like, you know, you hear in the whole commotion, but your body is the breathing, everything becomes so subdued, and is very, the breath is happening from the brain, goes to the heart, goes down to your belly and comes up. And then it's something bigger shows up. And then I try to see how people reacting. And I realized if people don't talk about these things, then they have nothing else to replace it. That's why they're in it, because they don't see it. And what I did, I told my husband, let's make an appointment with her. I want to see what she says about you. So I made an appointment for him, and I gave date of birth and his name, and I put him on a WhatsApp to see the doctor. Before I do that, she asked me a question about him. All the answer in the past, because I know about him, was yes, but now it was no. So two things was happening here. So it means with the date, my date of birth and my name, certain things are inherent in me that I was born with. But perhaps with things we learn, especially knowledge of plasma, knowledge of the creation, and how we look at things in a different way, we change. So no longer those aspects relate to us. So my question is now, how can we make people to become that aspect of the world this is easy to live in, which is like go to the clear water, not to swim in a pool of shit that you don't know even you swim in it, and why you're swimming in it. And it didn't matter really if these people had money or no money. They all are doing the same thing in a different way. So how can we, I mean, there's nothing, I mean, I never said anything to them. I just was present for the conversation and present what they're saying, but I was just noticing all these things. So how is it possible? I mean, how can we change something to remove the veil from these people so they can see the reality, and then their life would become very easy for them, because when they say I'm stressed out, that I say I'm stressed out, you're creating it, but they don't notice it. They don't notice that the words that comes out of the mouth and the way they act, they all has the feel that creating the same thing over and over again. And they cannot get out of it until they notice this. And they have all this belief system that are regurgitating all this belief system constantly out and inside their head, constantly in and out, like a spider web. They entangle in this web, and they caught in it, and they entangle in it, and just suffocate in it, but they don't realize it. And it seems like it's addiction of that entanglement in them that they want to have it. So what is it that we can do?
What do you understand from it? Or what did you understood from it? That's then you see what they can do that you can't.
But I could, if I was them, like I would put myself in their place and could say, if I do this, I could make life so easy for that person. If I was in that body, I knew what to do. But I'm not in that body, and I can't tell them what to do, because they're in it and they cannot see it. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can change it. How can they change? All I could do, I gave from my soul. That's all I could do. But verbally, there was nothing I could do, because they would, if I try to say, there was only one person I found one girl I found, 25 years old, she was really in it. And when I started, I mean, something happened that I had to be in her presence, and I just opened up and she got it. And she understood it because she was there and I could see it. But the rest of them just nothing.
There is something people understand, because I looked at these things a few times. How can the time and the place of birth and whatever and a position create, and people can tell you, just give me your birth date and the time and the place and the name, I can tell you whatever it is. Seen many of these. In some ways, how many times and how many people can do this? And how many times you've been inside with these people that they got it 100% right? The knowledge, some people carry because they feel. And the knowledge is some people do things because they see. I talked to someone about something like this, when you go to a place and they ask for your birth date or whatever. And the conclusion was, when you come in, they watch you. They're a good observer. And they see you, how your shoulder is, how your arm is, how you walk. And they ask you the questions, but they're already predetermined. Okay, I see that, I'll put my hand there, so they believe the rest of what I tell you. But sometimes the knowledge comes from the vision. Many of us, all of us, don't see exactly the same thing as the others. We see different dimensions of fields. We feel different dimensions of fields. Some of us have, due to the structure of our brain and the structure of our physicality, have an interaction different way with the fields. And this, some of us use it to our advantage, or sometimes we use it to help the others with it. We have to understand the knowledge. Then when you go to a person like this, ask you your birth date or your place or whatever, or puts a hand somewhere, it doesn't become a mystery. You have to understand the wisdom. How? And can it be repeated? Or can we encourage these people to allow others to extend as they do? The knowledge, the vision, the spectrum. What do they do? And this is one of the reasons we keep and give the knowledge this way. That no one in space become magician. You don't need to go to somebody to take your name and date when they just watch you how you walk in and the rest. That no one become another prophet or a specialist in something. We are all a specialist because we attract a specific fields that the others don't. So you have to understand the knowledge of the person. And you have to watch how many times they get out of how many times correct. And then ask them, how did you get it correct? Maybe sometimes just by coincidence. I used to have a very close friend in Manchester, very, very close friend of mine. And everybody said when he touches your pain point, he gets rid of your pain. And I was in a lot of pain one day. We were together in the office. And he said, "No, sit down, sit down. I take your pain away." They tell me you have a pain in your ankle. And he puts his hand on my ankle, and I never known so much pain in my life. I said, "You know something? Just don't touch me next time." How come he has a healing of what they call getting energy from the others, but I got all the energies got from the others back in me? So we have to understand the knowledge and the emotion and become good at it in the dimensional fields. Then we go to the people who are specialized in certain strengths. In a very near future, you can buy an app from Keshe Foundation in a matter of short time. And on these apps, you buy app for food, app for cancer, app for Alzheimer's, app for banana, whatever. You get a variation of the apps. And you tap on it and you go, you want a banana, you get the taste of banana and everything else. This is the future of the food and wellness, which is on the horizon. So can we give you all the same taste of the same banana where your energy fields are slightly different than the other guy? It might be a sour banana to you, sweet than the other one, but the whole structure is what energy you take from it. Do we need to give a taste value to it that gives you the right emotion, or we just give you the what banana is supposed to give as energy to you without actually giving the feeling you had a banana? And this is where the science and the technology of man is gone. And then this people, where they get the knowledge is we are made of different composition. And we are all unique. And we can all learn and we can all teach. But this going to someone's birthdays or touching somewhere is individuality of what we call developing and observing so many positions about the fields, about the time, and observing how many people fit into that picture.
Mr. Keshe, also what I noticed, like a traditional Iranian medicine and Indian medicine, Ayurvedic, they both have a lot in common. Like they ask, when they see you, they decide.
What do you mean they're in common? We are all the same.
Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of the treatment, for example, they create a body type. She told me my body is cold and dry, so I should eat wet and warm food. So, for example, lamb is warm, cow is cold, chicken from supermarket is cold, chicken from the farm is warm. Like she said, you have to eat like a samanu, halim, fesenjum with almond. But then it was interesting when I started eating those, my body became more flexible and less rigid, and the whole pain, everything is gone. So Indian medicine is the same thing. They tell you have vata, pitta, kapha, a body type, and certain things you should not eat, certain things you should eat. Then these traditional medicines, they're all connected. How do they know about each other?
Indian Persian and God knows, Middle Eastern medicine is more or less very similar because we used to be one part of one thing and now we just created an imaginary name and we stick to what we like. But fundamentally, the materials would give energy to you, gravitate towards your condition. We call it work. The one you give energy out, we call it cold in the traditional medicine. In English, we say, I'm eating a cold food. They say, oh no, I just warmed it up. No, Cold, in a way, is taking energy from me. And this is part of the knowledge. What materials allows what fields to leave our body as excess, and what materials gives us energy that we need from environment, which they were grown. This Wallman code, what you talk about, if you change it into gravitational cold is what we call magnetic, warm is what we call gravitation. We put a seed of a lesser strength that the bigger strength of the environment feeds for what is shorter. That's what we do most of the time. The food we eat is that little seed we put in we do this in GANs technology. We put a lower patch on one side, higher patch on the other side, and you absorb energy or get energy to come to the weaker side. This is part of the food process we do. When we eat a food, we put a little seed inside, and that GANs condition of the fields we put inside absorbs energy from outside to our source. That's why we take that 20%. The other 80% come with the direction of what we put in. This is why we feel lack of energy when we don't eat, even physically. Because man has not understood that the food we eat is that little GANs we put in. Once it goes in our body, it's a GANs state. Now, any energy outside which is matching with that will come towards, because trying to satisfy that energy inside, which is a little. And that becomes that 80%. In a way, we fool the environment to feed us through that process. And we can create that condition through our brain. We tested that in the enhancement unit. When a lot of you came in, we did some tests on you. What fruit would you like? Have as much banana as you like. And then you come out and says, oh, it was so nice. I had a banana. It felt good. I felt the energy. Yes, because we didn't psychologically put it in your head. You know to your body what banana, what taste, what shape you like. You put that seed in the emotion, the way you create the cancer in your body, so body absorb the energy of the banana from outside, which you put the seed inside of. We don't play magic. We understand and get a conformity by you telling us what we did, what we put is correct. Because now you're in an enhancement unit. We have created all the energies you need in the basement under tons of concrete, and you take it from our system and it becomes a banana you want. So understand the technology that becomes magic. Understand what the warmth means, what the cold means. When you have a cold, it means the energy you take in is more than what your environment needs. So you give the environment. It reverses. It's a composition transfer energy.
Mr. Keshe, it makes sense about magnetical and gravitational the way you describe it.
It doesn't make sense. It's the fact.
I mean, the science behind it.
How it works. The food we eat is the seed for the energies we attract into our body. And because of the layering of the plasma, as we call it, the skin, the muscle, the bone, and everything else, we create a condition of weaker to absorb. Feeling. Life works on a magnetic field, interaction of the fields, but nothing else. And this is why we get addicted or we enjoy certain foods, because there's a balance. What we give, what we take, we don't. And why do we get fat? Why do we put weight on? We can eat as much as you like and don't put a grammar. You've seen many people do. Chinese eat 10 plates and they're as good as a pencil. I eat one plate, I put 2 kilos up. Because the emotional field strength within is not in balance. And then you block the energies to transfer out, and he absorbs, he has to find a place.
But Mr. Cash, if you go eat in Iran, you don't gain weight. Like when you are in
You haven't
USA.
eaten so many cholo kebabs as I do, huh?
Mr. Cash, even if you eat cholo kebab, you don't gain weight really because I don't have any craving anymore. But anyway, when I go there, I eat. But then I eat more than usual because here I hardly eat because I don't feel hungry and I go all the way to 3-4 in the afternoon. But over there, because it's there and I just eat it, but you don't gain weight. It's just, I don't know what's the reason for it, but just don't.
You don't get weight, you're as good as a pencil anyway. Doesn't matter where you you can put you in North Pole, you'll still be the same.
Mr. Cash, another thing I noticed, a lot of people come and take blood from their back, and after that they feel so good. And I came to my dad, I said, they call it hijamat. And then my dad says when he was a kid, this was routine in his household, and he always went and hide someplace. They never got him to draw blood from his back. But why taking blood from the back of people? And then the doctor said, if I want to learn it, they can teach me because I'm a doctor. I said, no problem. So I went and I watched and I saw how they do it. But the question, and then one person's blood was coming out, was a little darker, like it was toward black. The other one was lighter. And then the woman said, this one is just a lot of stuff in it, so it needs more cleansing. So why drawing blood from the back makes them feel better?
No. Let's get the science facts right. First of all, this tradition of taking blood with the leech or cut or whatever has become a tradition in a way that by taking blood, the liver has to work and produce, or the body has to work to create new blood. And that brings, what do you call it, fresh energy. This is the reason we've done for centuries. In many cultures do this. It's not that why they take it, because it's brought up psychologically to that when you take blood, so your body needs to create fresh ones, so you become more agile, you feel better because it has to be replaced. That's the reason done. Secondly, why some is dark and some bright? It depends which way they cut. Are they cutting into the oxygenated system, as they call it, energized system going out? You get a bright color. And if it's the cycle coming back and it's already depleted, it's dark. So they can put anything in there, illiterate they accept. Scientifically, we understand this now. And then, depending on the composition of the blood, they're all having the same blood. When that return blood you cut in, due to content of it, creates different color. If you have more zinc in it, it'll be different color. Red, if you have more iron in it, it'll be different color. So the color really means you're sick or something wrong, it's got too much dirt in it. People don't understand, and so they tell them and they believe it. Scientifically, we understand now why they do it and why the color is different. But it has no resources of it. It has no other reasons for it. It becomes part of culture because, as you said, your father used to hide because it does not need to be done. We get this with a cycle of menstruation of women. And because certain way the blood is lost and a certain way the womb prepares for the creation of next life, moves certain elements in the body as a field, which we see with the women. During the menstruation, they go through depression. Then we call it energy packs, which come through as an emotion to become the life of the new child. We call it, I feel different. they get crazy, they have pain or whatever. So we have to understand the process that in the emotion of life, we see this a lot. Women who give birth, especially the first time they give birth, they don't have some or most of the pains they had during the cycle of menstruation. Because there's always anxiety. Can I create? Would I create? Would it be a perfect child? And when you give life and you see the perfection in your child, those anxieties gone, and they call it the body doesn't create hormones. Hormones are part of the emotion in the dimension of the energy field of the body of the woman for all of us. And we have never understood this. We have never understood what it means to go through it. Why do they say when a woman goes through menopause, behaves this, become more erratic? Because a woman is born, given life to give life, and now gets to the position that she cannot give life. What she was created for, she's become incapable of. The anxiety that I'm not there to see the continuation of the life of the generation, bring this. And then you call it a hormone. If doctors understand this and talk to the women that you have served the purpose to the best, you are a beautiful woman, you created the most beautiful children, and a woman understands, they go through nothing through their menopause. If then the chemical, biological changes can be controlled. Then we understand more about the psychology of the man, which now we call it hormones. In a way, is hormones, if you translate it in the right way, it's exactly like viruses we have. But it has managed to give itself a manifestation of physicality attachment to protein. Protein is emotion, we call it hormones. And in the outside body of the man, we call them virus, but more or less they're about the same thing because they don't carry that emotion. And now the viruses we come near to emotion, we call them now the new COVID, suicidal, creating depression. In the life of a woman, we call him, oh, it's going to menopause. Why some of the women go through suicidal condition, they call it post delivery, birth, postnatal depression, because emotions cannot fit into the direction of the expectation of life. We are not inside the brain of the man. And a lot of postnatal depressions can be resolved by men, especially partners, being there to support the emotional turmoil of the life. The man is so busy getting ready for a new child come. I work 10 times harder, this, whatever. And the woman sees herself alone. What am I going to do with this thing? Cries one end, and something else comes on the other end, and he repeats himself, doesn't even smile. What did Muhammad say? Arabs used to give birth on the sand, and if it was a girl, they dug a hole and covered it. The child was stillbirth, but it was a girl. Muhammad said, keep me for 40 days, you won't let me go. Because after 40 days, it's the first time you see emotion, smile of the child, and that emotion touches the soul of the man. Then I play with your emotion, and the girl learns at 40 days old how to play with the emotion of the man for the rest of his life. And us men fall for it like a brick. We have to understand the science of creation, not the visualization and manifestation of physicality of the emotion. then we become much, much wiser in the process of creation. You explain to a woman who goes through menopause the full process of why emotion, what emotion, the perfection of life she's created in the children, and I'm there to be, you will see not much problem. Physical changes will come in because it's set up. And men don't understand this, and society doesn't understand this. And then part of the emotion, the way you created the cancer because of the harm with your son as a prostate, now manifests itself in hormonal change, we can't explain. And these are where the right cancers of protein are produced, which can interact with the emotion of the brain of the man from lack of, I can't produce anymore. We don't understand it. We never understood. We never connected. And some of those who understood it, they became the wise men. But now you're all wise. You understand the process. You understand the process of interaction of the fields. You cannot just take the gases which made your physical body. You have to look at the fields which interact with these and create what they create, mass and weight. The mass is that gas there. The weight is the reaction of it when it comes out in its environment with the interaction of the emotion. Then we become wise people after generation.
Mr. Cash, but I just have one thing. The way I look at it, I made it logical because we have a DNA, and then the DNA, where the DNA comes from my parents, and then the DNA of parents comes back to the older generation. So with that DNA, when anybody is born with the older ancestral part of that DNA is inherent with certain things say emotion, like say fear or jealousy or anxiety. It comes because when I was younger, when I remember at the age of 12 and 13, since then, especially Thursday afternoon, or sometimes this huge sadness would take over me. And there was no reason for that sadness, and I didn't know where it come from, but it would come over me. So when I went to the Amazon in Peru, to one of the ceremony, the shaman next day told me, "You brought this sadness from 1,000 years ago, and now it's gone." So when I look at my father or my grandfather as a picture, I see the sadness in them. Then I realized, and then I was reading this guy, his name was Anthony de Mello. He was a Jesuit priest. It means they were Christian, that they're not bound to the church. And then there was another Tibetan guy. He was talking about the same thing because he had anxiety. What he says, when those emotion comes, inherent emotion comes, whatever it is, it could be jealousy, it could be fear, it could be sadness. Don't fight them. Just observe them, because just like if you want to fight them, you make them stronger. As long as you observe them, in time they will dissolve. It's just like when they tell the priest don't have sex, and they try to fight it. When you fight it, you can actually go abuse the children because you're fighting it. But when you don't fight it, it goes away. So everybody was born with some inherent thing that is on the DNA, is not in our control, but then realizing it and acknowledging it, with acknowledging it is just, you become acquainted, because the experience.
That's the beauty of creation. Otherwise, we all have been on a bottle production system.
Yeah, exactly.
When you go to a bottle factory, every bottle is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And the one which has a slide floor, they take it out of production line. So the beauty of creation is a diversity in the interaction of the fields and attraction of the fields with each other. That's the gift from the Creator. Otherwise, we live in one mass production. What did Ford say? You can have any color as long as it's black. Yeah? and we are not in that position. We have
So the creator wants us to know ourselves. So acknowledge ourselves as we are, and not not to become somebody else.
You know, Azad John, you speak about Chilla Kebab, and I've said that many times. And I have a softer spot when it comes to it. And if people realize it, they try to use it to their own benefit. When I went to Iran, I hit part of what is now the Ramazan, a fasting time. And we were kept in secure houses, and all the things which goes with what we call the works we do as nuclear physicists. And we hit Ramazan. And these people knew in the office of Ahmadinejad, and my food always came from the kitchen of the president because of the security reasons. It came with all the razzmatazz, you see. And it came to Ramazan. They knew I loved Turkey. I had a kebab for lunch one day, beginning of the Ramazan. I had a kebab for dinner. I thought, this is strange, because we used to get different foods from presidential kitchen. And then the next day I saw one thing, and then it was again cholo kebab. I said to my protection officers and the people who look after me, they were opposite apartment to me and adjacent to me. I said, what's going on? They come and set your table. They treat you befit a scientist in Iran. It's not what we see in Europe. Every day you come, breakfast is set for you in your apartment, and they set you lunch and dinner and everything else. I said to the gentleman responsible for the food, which had an apartment across from me with the protection officers, I said, how come I'm getting so much income? He said, Mr. Kesh, there's a problem. I said, what is the problem? He said, we know you love cholo kebab. I said, yes. He said, come and show you in the freezer. I said, what do you mean? He opened the door of his head. He said, I have here kebab, cholo kebab for 30 days because the kitchen and presidential office is closed. And they know you. I just need to warm the kebab for you and the rice, and that's all I can do. I saw the head of the office. I said, I'm not eating cholo kebab 3 times a day. They went and they discussed it and came back and they said, okay, from now on, there are specific restaurants we keep open to take you for lunch. And we know Ramazan was summertime, was very late. We arranged special restaurants for you to go for early dinner. So I could get a variety of food. And I thought, oh, shoot. They have even studied the psychology of my food. They have even studied, as a scientist, what pleases me and what keeps me happy, that they can create that condition of comfort. And it gives me a lot of pleasure in knowing how much a government goes to extend to make sure the people who give their life for the nation are looked after in the correct way, that they can do their work. If the guy wouldn't take me to show me the freezer, I would have not known how much in depth they've gone to what you call to cover that there is no, but they miscalculated too much. It's the emotion which brings us that pleasure. And is the emotion which brings us dependency on repetition and addiction to that pleasure.
Mr. Kesh, when I was there, Ramadan started on the 3rd of the new year. So one day at 2:30, I wanted cholo kebab. I called the cholo kebab around the corner. They didn't serve it. So I called Dr. Bayapu, and Dr. Bayapu sent it to me.
I know. We get treated different way in Iran as scientists. And the way they actually, there was one cholo kebab we opened certain days just to serve cholo kebab, which was against the law. You know, they used to get punished for opening restaurants. during the Ramadan lunchtime. And they used to have ready food enough for 5 people, which was usually me with the caboodle which we travel with for security reasons. And the 5 used to sit and watch for one person to eat. And I thought, the smell of this must be killing you. Like, he said, Mr. Cash, the pleasure you enjoy is more than the food we can eat. And this is what we see. I love to work in Iraq. They respect scientists in a different way than in the West. They kill us and they shoot us. They respect us and create every condition. That's why we could achieve so much in Iraq so fast. Anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Cash.
Thank you very much. Shall we call it a day?
Sure, if you like, Mr. Cash, or perhaps maybe you could quickly answer one question from the YouTube that we have remaining here. Okay, from Seventh Star, who asks, can you elaborate on what happens to fields and rays going through the center of the vortex and how that links to what one would call intention, and how intention can transmute and direct these fields and rays?
Sorry about that. What vortex are we talking about?
Well, let me see here. He doesn't really elaborate. He went into another question later. I guess that in some schools of thought, there's everything's the energies or the plasmas have a vortex or a squeezing point, you could say, or sometimes people might say the 0 point would be at that center.
Yeah, but you can get an exit of the field, so they call that the vortex. Mm-hmm. Something has to happen. If it's not the matter, it's energy. You're squeezing matter together when you create a vortex. You're creating a circular motion which leads to absorption and release of energy in compacting. If you do it in a bath and you take the plug out, you see the energy forces the material out. If you are in a closed environment, the energy has to be released in one direction and absorbed in another. So what you expect and what you want to do. We do that a lot in space technology. We create vortexes, especially in defense technology. The knowledge in that dimension is in a matter state, we call it laser, monoenergetic. In a plasma condition, if you create it, it's a plasma field. This is one of the ways you can project high speed plasma, and it elevates its strength to go up. In the future teaching, we'll teach this one, but it's compression to reach 0 point energy, or to the hydrogen energy, we call it. And usually the field strength of the matter is very much different than the field strength of the plasma. If you create, it's a very in-depth knowledge, and it is part of what you like to call a wormhole. This energy distribution has to be looked at 2 ways. One is matter state compression, and one is the field state compression. And when you interact in the right direction, in the right position, you can play with it in a very beautiful way. And in accelerating plasma to reach a higher order, this technology, what we call vortexing, it's one of the ways, one of the best ways to create elevation in the strength. And in a matter state, when you can do that, you see the increase in the speed. I've done a lot of work on this compression vortex of the field and the plasma and matter state. And it has a huge applications. Sorry about that, I have to answer this question one second.
Okay, well, thank you, Seventh Star, for that question. Not sure if we'll be able to carry on with it or not here. I see Marinez has a hand up as well, but I'm not sure if Mr. Kesh will want to carry on much further or not, but we'll see when he gets back.
Sorry about that. Anyway, to understand the vortex is zero, there is no zero, is finding the conversion point. At the bottom of every vortex, there is a conversion point. And you have to understand what does it convert to. Because if it doesn't do, if the energy doesn't convert to take another dimension or direction or a strength, it'll explode. It becomes like blowing a balloon and compressing it. It needs a lot of knowledge. It needs a lot of understanding. Plasma vortex technology, it's all matter vortex. We know a lot about it because we created. And if you, even in a matter state vortex, if you understand field distribution, compression of the magnetic field of the elements, it's a totally different game ballgame. And then if you do the same vortexing with different conditions of the plasma fields, it's a different story altogether. Knowledge seekers have not understood the principle of the matter and plasma and the interaction and collaboration and in what you call release of it. One of the biggest vortexes which happens on our life continuously is on our skin. Our skin, that's why you have these holes where the hair grows in. These are where the energies which we absorb from the environment as part of that 80% are fed into. Those are the hole caps. These are where it comes in. This is why we have antennas to what vortexes we absorb as hair. Our hair is a nanomaterial and it has a specific field strength. The color of it, the root of it. Why do we change color of hair by age to white? If man learns to release the right strength field by emotion, man will never change color. And through our skin, if you look at your skin, it's not flat, it's hexagonal. It's like a football, plastic footballs. If you used to play with leather football, they sew them together and there's a point of junction where you come together. Our skin is those junctions, and that's where the hair is. It doesn't matter even if you don't have a hair on your body, the fine, which is inside, creates that attraction. And in that point, at the root of the hair, these vortexes, energy difference transportation is. That's where most of your 80% energy from the environment is directed to. Vortex technology, if you understood to the position of the creation, is a way of feeling, is a way of understanding. That's why you have different hair, different shape, different strength, and different ages of different hair. And some have no hair. It doesn't mean anything else, but the body has this fine tuning of the vortex conversion. If one day our scientists develop technology to watch the fields, you'll see how we're absorbing energy through these holes at the point of the hexagonal or whatever shape that you have on your skin. Those gaps are where it should, like a, you create a slope in a tent to get rid of the water when it rains on it. That holes where the energy comes in. Man has not understood the process of the energy absorption from the environment, and our skin is one of the most fundamental ways that we transfer the energy. We pass the skin, which is supposed to be perfect, no water, but at those points, it's perfect for energy to transfer directly into the center of the body, under the skin. And we call it the root of the hair. It's like you put an antenna up and you say, this is what I want to absorb. And then it just goes right across the body of the man. If you understand this, then you understand why it's only places, certain places. We have no hair. Even if you follow the condition of the growth of the hair, you find the behavior of the man. Because certain absorption of certain fields creates certain emotions. Because this is where 80% of our energy comes. The science of when you go doesn't go to zero. It goes to point of conversion. How much of it converts and how much it comes back. In a way, if you don't have a hair, you cannot, put this, you're not totally hairless. Doesn't matter what you do with it. You release that antenna, what comes in is like a fountain blowing up. The way people's hair is, the way, the color of their hair, the way they change the color of their hair and emotion with it has not been understood or studied yet. Why some girls like blonde to be, and some girls like to be the blacks like to be blonde, and the blondes like to have a dark hair. The one who have a lighter skin go and get a suntan to be brown, and the one who's got a brown skin tries every kind of bleach to be white. Psychological depletion of the emotion. And this has a lot to do with what we absorb from our environment. And they tell us the food we eat is the person we become, because as I said, you put that little seed and then this is the energy you absorb. And what you absorb interacts with the environment which you are in to absorb it from. When you see a beautiful woman or a very handsome man, these souls needs a lot of attention. By beauty, they absorb the energy they get. It's not that they're so beautiful. You have to see what the soul is set to absorb. And what is the destiny of this destination of the soul and its departure? Why does it need so much? It doesn't matter what color you are, you're still beautiful as black, white, blonde, yellow, whatever. And this is the beauty of the creation on this planet.
Mr. Cash, you said the person is beautiful, they want attention. It means the soul decided to become beautiful because it needs to have attention in this lifetime.
Yeah, yes, 100%. Our beauty is, you see, when you, what we don't understand is psychology or absorption of the field is set. You know, you make a pot. This pot goes into the market, or you make a pot for the house of a king. You understand? So it's the same. The soul, when it's made, knows its point of destination and what needs to, and what it needs to absorb to reach that point of destination. When you see a normal person, it's another normal person. It could be to you and me normal, but to say of somebody, she's the most beautiful, is the most handsome man. But when you see a beautiful woman or a man, handsome man walking down the street, or even a cat or a dog, which are beautiful, it takes attention, it takes energy, and that energy is absorbed. That energy comes to, and this is why you see beautiful and handsome people, some of them become very arrogant because they receive so much. Their emotion cannot even handle the receipt. They're not aware of that, fully aware of. But you have to see what that soul is destined for and where. It could be a very weak, stringed soul, as it has a long way to travel across. Or it's going to become a shining soul, and it'll be very near to its point of destination. We are the nursery of the universe. And how we plant, how we look at that seed, that where it grows to create a life and continuation of existence, is the job of the soul of the man.
Mr. Cash, what about people who look at somebody as beautiful and they go do surgery to make themselves like that? What is that?
You can change a lot of things, but the soul doesn't go that way. Botox doesn't always come make you beautiful, does it? You have to understand the process of creation. Otherwise, everything is physical. Thank you very much for today. And let's see where and how we come to share more knowledge. Join us on the 28th for the addiction. And we would like knowledge seekers to, if you cannot do or if you like to support for those who we have especially reserved for the specific races, colors, and creeds of the man to be part of the 25 and 200. And we need to do that as part of our work to be able to. If you are disabled or you're working, but you have the wealth to support someone from Africa, someone from Asia, whatever, to be part of this process, we need it, as we'll explain in the coming time. It's a collective work, and with it, we have a collective job to do. And don't turn up on 28 just because you're not addict. Turn up to see what your soul is addicted to and where is its destiny. Thank you very much for today, and I hope we shared enough knowledge to enlighten you about what to come. Thank you very much, Rick. And we'll see you next time.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Kesh, for another Knowledge Seekers Workshop, number 481 today. Continuously, every week, without fail for the last 481 weeks. Thank you, Mr. Kesh. And thank you, everybody, for attending today's workshop. And our next public teaching workshop, let me get my calendar out here, be on Tuesday. And that will be April 18th. Will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice And that starts at 4 p.m. Central European Summertime. Okay, I think that's it for announcements for now. And we'll go out with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. So you can clap and dance your way to a lovely day. Okay, bye for now, everyone, and see you next time around. Thank you again, Mr. Kesh, for another great workshop.